Hi, welcome back to Be Proficient in English with Binus University. I'm still Irfan Rifai, and today we would like to talk about a place, and we would like to relate what you learned in the previous topic with today's topic. In the previous topic, you talk about your experience in visiting a place and how you can use English in that specific place as a tourist. Now, you remember that place, and then you would like to share how that place meant something for you. But we are going to talk about them in a way that it will be able to fulfill your learning outcomes. Remember your learning outcomes? First, you will have to be able to use proper English, modify them, and then eventually you are expected to be able to evaluate your learning. As for today, we will be talking about a topic, describing a place, and we'll make sure that by the end of today's lesson, you will be able to modify a short paragraph, or perhaps, to be specific, a descriptive writing paragraph. Now, what is descriptive writing? So, put it simply, it's a kind of writing that asks you or would like you to be able to describe something, a place, a person, a situation, the kind of feeling that you are having or experiencing right now, an emotion. Yeah, so that is a descriptive writing. But there are ways to do it. Yeah, the most important thing for you to remember is that in descriptive writing, you will need to involve a lot of different kind of vocabularies. But before we go there, to answer the kind of question that you probably are thinking right now, why should I learn about descriptive writing? Or why should I learn to describe something? Imagine you are a witness to a crime scene. Somebody committed a crime on a train that you are taking to school, and then the police questions you and wants to know how the criminal looked like. Then they will ask you questions. This question will probably like what his hair looked like. What kind of race was he? Was he white? Was he brown? Was he Asian? Was he American? Was he Indonesian? And then what was the color of his eyes? What did he wear? And then is there anything else that's specific about his facial features? So this kind of life experience you might not experience. Hopefully you don't have to experience something like this. But this will definitely, this skill is definitely something important that you need to have, currently or later in the future. Now, from there, then we try to describe, instead of a person, let's try to describe a place. Suppose you have just returned from your trip in India. So you visited India and then you went to this place, Taj Mahal. The kind of questions that come up could probably be the same with the kind of questions that the police ask you, when he was asking you to describe the criminal. So he would probably ask questions like, so where is Taj Mahal located? How old is Taj Mahal? What kind of building is this? Why does the building have that kind of feature as well? And then in terms of size, how big is it? In comparison to perhaps the Indonesian palace, how big is it? Is it bigger or is it smaller? So, and then perhaps the kind of questions that perhaps, intriguing. What does it smell like? Why did I involve what does it smell like kind of question? That is because, my friends, when you describe something, you need to involve your senses. Yeah? And then the senses that I'm talking about are the vocabulary that you need to know when describing things. So what are the other vocabularies? Yeah. The first vocabulary in the senses is perhaps the smell senses. I gave you the example already. And then the sight senses. How does it look like to your eyes? And then how does it sound? When you were in Taj Mahal, what were you hearing? And then perhaps you were eating something when you were in Taj Mahal, and then it tastes like it tastes like something that you will remember fondly, or perhaps the feeling when you were there. And then you can also talk about the feelings when you want to describe Taj Mahal. When you love it, then you can use some very positive words like Taj Mahal is charming, beautiful, and then it's picturesque. It's lively. I love being there. If you love it, but if you don't love it, you can integrate or use words like it's so dull, it's so bleak, it's so horrifying, and it's so costly. The food were very expensive. Yeah, so your choice of words depends on how you felt about your experience about the place. Next is, of course, a lot of other adjectives. Yeah, the five senses and the feelings use adjectives, but there are other adjectives that you can use as well when you want to describe the place. You can talk about how old the place was. You can talk about your opinion about the place. Yeah, and that involves feeling, of course. You can talk about the size, the physical qualities. Is it soft? Is it rough? And then you can talk about the shape, the color, and not to mention the materials. Well, perhaps you wanna, you have, some interest on the surveys, on the building, on the material that the building was made. So you can talk about it as well as you can talk about the adverbs or the details in the adverbs on how far, on how long. Yeah. So those are some of the words that you can, or phrases that you can use when you want to describe a place. Now, what about the structure? So moving on, yeah, the vocabulary already, the words already, all of those adjectives already. But then, how do you structure your writing? So basically, when you write in all kinds of writing, you will have at least three structures. The first one is the introduction, the second one is the body, and the third one is the conclusion. In the introduction part, you need to explain to your readers the reasons why you are choosing this, and the most important thing as well is the objectives in making the writing. This is where you put the thesis statement. And then in the body, you put the main idea for each paragraph. Let's say you have 5 main bodies. That means you will have like 5 main ideas or 5 topic sentences in your writing. And then, because this is descriptive writing, involve the 5 senses. That helps you a lot. How does it look like? How does it sound like? When you feel it, how does it feel like? When you smell it, what does it smell like? So, for example, you go to Bali, and then you notice that when you go to Bali, you smell something distinctive about being in Bali. So that kind of element is very important when you want to describe something. Yeah, and then in the end, you try to summarize all the main points you state in the bodies, and then make something like what we call it cleanser statement to just basically close the session. Now, this is an example of descriptions of an Aare river, which was quite popular, this year because of the tragedy of the governor of West Java. And please read the descriptions of the river. As you can see, it's not quite long. I took it from Wikipedia. My question right now to you is, what is missing in this description? What would you add? Would you add something else in this description? If you have to add something, what would it be? Okay, you're correct. Yeah. So the description here is pretty dry. It focuses on perhaps just the geographical things about the river, about the measurement of the river, about a little bit of the definitions of the river, and those are very important. But then, what didn't you find? Yes, a lot of things like perhaps the smell of it, perhaps the feeling of the writers about the river, yeah, perhaps other details, yeah. So in order to be able to answer my question, you have to go back here. Yeah, you have to go back to the vocabulary, you have to go back to the structure of the essay or the descriptive writing. Now, this is something that you need to remember. When you write a descriptive essay, please plan your writing. Brainstorm ideas, talk to friends. So if you want to talk about, hey, I have just got an assignment to write about Aare River. Talk about it, brainstorm it and then search in Google about the details that you would need. And also put an outline to it. Yeah, once we put an outline and then put it on a structure, then you will be able to review it. And then how do you make it more clearly, in terms of structure? Then in that case, you perhaps need to have a mind map. Structure your idea. It will help you to put which one is the main idea, which one is the sub-ideas, and which ones are the supporting details that will support the sub-ideas or the topic sentences. All right, and then as in number 3, because in writing, most of what people do are usually editing, right? So they say that when you write in 100%, you write only 30% and 70% of it is editing process. So write, read, edit, revise, and write again. And lastly, have someone read your work, because every writer needs a reader, right? And then after that, after receiving feedback, then you can have your work revised. Now, my last question and my last assignment to you is, do you think you can transfer your knowledge in describing a place to describing a person? Or are you going to ask the same kind of questions when you would like to describe a person, an emotion, or a place? I'm going to leave it to you, and then I will meet you again on topic 3. Thank you.